Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our December 3rd board meeting. Join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Here.
Councilman McCarthy.
Here.
Councilwoman Noack.
Here.
Councilwoman Izzarello.
Here.
Councilman Lohman.
Here. Okay, we'll begin this afternoon. We have one site plan. Mr. Hans.
Good afternoon, Supervisor and members of the Town Board. Peter Hans, Planning Director. We have one application for the Board to consider today, acting as the Board of Site Plan Review. It's called REP 395 Oser Avenue. It's located in the Hauppauge Industrial Park, south side of Oser Avenue, east of Parkway Drive South. This project entails the removal of the existing building that you see in the aerial there. It measures 52,764 square feet. That will be demolished and replaced with a new 103,000 square foot one-story warehouse building with associated site work. We're recommending approval with 9 conditions. The applicant, Mr. Reckler, has agreed to these conditions. I've left each of you with a copy of the conditions with the signature. First condition, that they obtain applicable permits from the town building department. The second, that they install tree preservation fencing around the site prior to the issuance of the building permit. The third, that they obtain a road opening permit from the highway department and replace any curbing deemed necessary. The fourth, that a stormwater pollution prevention plan be prepared and approved, shall be maintained on site during the duration of the construction. The fifth, prior to the issuance of a CO, a deed covenant shall be filed with the county clerk for the operation and maintenance of the post-construction stormwater management practices. Sixth, all imported soil shall adhere to all applicable state regulations and the town's soils and recycled materials management specifications. No soil can be delivered to the site unless the source of the fill is known. It is documented to be clean and has received written approval by the engineering department. The seventh, the dumpster enclosure shall not exceed 6 feet in height and light poles shall not exceed 18 feet in height measured from grade. Eighth, that landscape islands shall have shade trees with grass or live ground cover. And the ninth, as light poles shall be installed in line with the adjacent parking stall striping. It's a pretty standard distribution type warehouse. I've been told by the applicant that they have a tenant lined up for the building already, and they're anxious to get started with the project. Does the board have any questions?
How much soil are they bringing in?
That's a good question. I don't know. The engineering department has that condition, but I think it's negligible. It's a pretty flat piece of property.
I
Yeah.
think it's flat, so where are they gonna put that? Towards the rear, I guess, the rear of the property?
I think there's some portions in the rear that need to be elevated, but it's only like a foot or two in height. That portion of Oser Avenue is relatively flat. Anybody
Any other
else?
questions by the board?
No.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hans. That will be voted on at the conclusion of the agenda.
Thank you.
We'll move forward, sitting as Board of Water Commissioners.
We have the minutes from November 14th, and there's 2 resolutions for 2 transfers between budget accounts.
Councilman Lohman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Izzarello.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes. Reconvene as Town Board.
There's a parade, the Rotary Club of Smithtown, the annual Go for Green 5K run on March 15th from 9 to 12. There's 3 public hearings today. The first public hearing is to consider the zone change petition 2024-03, submitted by Spark Car Wash to rezone a portion of an acre of parcel from neighborhood business to wholesale service industry. And Keith Brown, the applicant's attorney, is here to describe the zone change.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Nice to see you all. Supervisor Wareheim and members
all Keith Brown, Brown Altman DeLeo, 538 Broad Hollow Road, Suite 301 West, Melville, New York, 11747. The attorney for the applicant, Spark Car Wash LLC. Is that me, Stephanie?
Yes.
At the outset, I'd like to thank you for hearing our application today. As a matter of housekeeping, all public notice, mailings, and postings were performed in accordance with the town code and handed up to the clerk's office before we got started here. So with me today, we have Oliver Young of JKA Architect, the project architect, who's seated in the gray suit in the third row. Also, we have Mr. Nick Tortorello, excuse me. I almost made you the former Rangers coach. Yeah. PE of Stonefield Engineering, the traffic safety expert. And just by way of background, the property is comprised of two tax lots, lots 4.2 and 5.1, located on north of Middle Country Road, also known as New York State Route 25, in the hamlet of Lake Grove. The property is currently vacant land, which will also have access to the Sconset Port Jefferson Highway, also known as State Route 347, via proposed cross-access agreement with the abutting parcel to the west. Directly west of the property is the Pep Boys Auto Service Center, and abutting the property to the east is a truck yard for the New York State DOT. North of the property is a heavily forested area that extends from the boundary line to Wisconsin Port Jefferson Highway. To the south, across Middle Country Road, is vacant land with dense vegetation and trees. The property is currently zoned neighborhood business. Under proposed development, the property will be split zoned, so it's the wholesale industry, WSI and NB. The applicant proposes to construct a brand-new car wash service facility with a one-story, 4,842 square foot building, 3 drive-up lanes, 28 parking stalls with vacuum equipment, and a right-in, right-out curb cut on Middle Country Road with other associated site improvements. As such, the applicant requires approval from the town board for a partial change of zone for only tax lot 5.1, which is where the proposed development will be located, on the closer to Middle Country Road. The site will also feature 3 car wash lanes with a total queuing capacity of approximately 29 cars. The applicant is also proposing substantial landscaping to enhance the aesthetics of the property. A copy of the colored site plan is before you there as Exhibit 2. Based on the existing site photos which have been submitted as Exhibit 3, the proposed development will be a vast improvement to what currently exists at the site today. The building itself will also feature very impressive architecture elements designed by JK&A that will seamlessly blend with other similar uses in the town. A copy of the drawings in front of you as Exhibit 5. Given the property's frontage along Middle Country Road, the applicant retained the services of Stonefield Engineering to prepare a traffic and parking assessment report for the proposed development. A copy of that written report has been provided prior to today as Exhibit 6. As noted in the report, our traffic experts have concluded that the project will not have a significant impact on traffic operations on the adjacent roadway network. Further, the report found that the number of parking stalls proposed is sufficient to meet the anticipated demand on the property. In further support of our request, we've submitted as Exhibit 7 an appraisal report prepared by Dykes Realty Advisors, and the report concluded that the proposed development and the requested change of zone will not have any adverse impact on the surrounding property values or the character of the area. Based on this afternoon's testimony and the expert reports we've submitted previously to the town, the applicant respectfully requests that the town board approve the requested change of zone for tax lot 5.1 from neighborhood business to wholesale industry to allow for the proposed car wash use. The applicant seeks to repeal previously imposed CNRs associated with the prior town board approvals for the property. Drilling down on the request to repeal prior covenants and conditions, we noted that in circa 1994, New Development Corp., a predecessor in interest to the applicant, submitted a petition to the town board to amend the property zoning designation from WSI and R21 to NB to establish a restaurant use at the site. On April 11th of 95, the town board adopted petition 1994-03, which granted the 94 application and imposed conditions prohibiting car wash use at the property and requiring that the site be developed in accordance with the requirements of the NB zone. A copy of the 95 approval has been submitted as Exhibit A. So essentially, what that change of zone approval did was made it into a neighborhood business, and my office was involved in, my partner David Altman did that application, and we're now switching it back so that we could allow for the car wash use. In circa 2014, 3 petitions were filed by our office and, with the town board as part of the common development project that sought to develop the 2 retail buildings totaling approximately 31,600 square feet, excuse me. The common development project included the property and the abutting lots known as Suffolk County Tax Map 800-114-4.2 and Suffolk County Tax Map 800-114-4-24. The 2014 town board approvals were all granted by the town board and were adopted on April 23rd, 2015, a copy of which is annexed as Exhibit 9. On or about February 19th, 2020, Sun Enterprises, Inc., Haddington Company LLC, and the owner withdrew the site plan application for the common development project for the 3 parcels. Since that time, there has been a subsequent change of circumstances with the development of the property, as noted by the Town Planning Department in their memo dated October 15th of this year. This application seeks to develop a car wash with all development constrained only to lot 5.1. And as you can see, there's a computer simulation depiction showing what the current Pep Boys will look like with the adjacent proposed car wash. The applicant seeks to develop the car wash with all the development constrained to 5.1 and no development proposed on either lots 4.2 or 42. Sorry, that should be 24. 4.2 or 24. As such, it is no longer feasible for the applicant to adhere to covenants requiring that the property be jointly developed with lots 4.2 or 24. In addition, it's no longer feasible for non-parties to the instant application, i.e. the owners of lots 4.2 and 24, to provide cross-access with the owner of 4.1. Further, the instant project will no longer provide cross-access with 4.1. Instead, the applicant proposes to provide a cross-access easement with lot 4.2 that will allow vehicles and patrons to move freely between lots 4.2 and 5.1. That actually is depicted on the site plan, if you want to go back to that, Mr. Hans. The proposed cross-access with lot 4.2 will provide patrons of the car wash with a means of ingress and egress to the property via Wisconsin Highway. You can see it depicted there. I'll just use my laser pointer. So this is the proposed cross-access out to Wisconsin Highway. The applicant respectfully submits that the instant project on lot 5.1 will significantly reduce the overall scale of the development from the 2015 3-lot joint development project. And as such, we respectfully request that the conditions of the 2015 town board approval and 2016 CNRs be repealed and replaced. And we discussed it with the planning commissioner, Mr. Hans, and decided that it was best to just wipe out the old CNRs and apply new CNRs to avoid any confusion in the future. So with that, we have some of our other experts have arrived here today. So if the board has any questions, we're happy to answer any of them.
Can I ask just one question?
Certainly, Ms. Noack.
Is that all right, Ed? Only because when you live in a town small as St. James, the first thing you do is you go into King Cullen and they're going to say to me, a question that I have.
Sure.
Is this the same owner that has the car wash like a half a mile down the street?
No, ma'am.
So this is going to be, this is a different car wash?
Yes.
Oh. And that's going to be, is that a drive-through car wash?
It's a subscription-based model. So the people can either join with a monthly subscription, and then with a license plate reader, they actually go
Yeah,
through
I have
and
that.
reads it, and they go right through. And it just takes, a couple of minutes to go through the car wash.
I do that.
And they have the opportunity to use the vacuums and the other equipment if they need it. Otherwise, if they're not a subscription member, then they pay, and there's an attendant there to help them pay.
So this is right near the Pep Boys?
Yes, right next door.
Okay. All right, so these are different people. This is.
Yes.
We're going to be car wash R Us. Thank you.
Certainly.
Mr. Can you go back to slide 6? What is that white structure in the back?
Sure. Let's get back.
Right there, all the way to the top. See the white one?
This
one?
Right there. What is that?
I'm not sure.
Foul ball?
We don't know. It's not part of the application.
Okay.
This is the only part of the application.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in the area where Checkers was once located.
Correct.
It's not part of the application, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions by the board?
Good spotting that.
I don't know what that was.
Looks like a Lego.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Any other questions? Is there anyone in the audience wish to be heard on this public hearing? There being none, I move to close.
Second.
Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Azarello?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Bond.
Thank you.
The sec-
And you'll reserve decision, and then when the time comes to secra and the approval, I imagine?
Correct.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
You too.
The second hearing is for the town board to consider proposed local law 16, 2024, which is amendments to chapter 76 entitled Town Board as it relates to video conferencing. Janice Hanson, Assistant Town Attorney, is here to present the changes.
Good afternoon, Supervisor and members of the Town Board. The purpose of this hearing is to consider amending the expiration date and repealer date for Section 76-9. It would just be amending it from July 1, 2024 to July 1, 2026. So unless there are any questions regarding that, that concludes this presentation.
Questions by the board?
No.
Anyone in the audience wish to be heard on this public hearing? There being none, I move to close.
Second.
Supervisor Wareheim?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilwoman Azarello?
Yes.
Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
And the third public hearing is to consider proposed local law 1724, amendments to chapter TC5 of the Traffic Code entitled Commercial Vehicle Weight Limits in regard to truck exclusions.
Once again, Janice Hanson, Assistant Town Attorney. The purpose of this hearing is for the board to consider amending the truck exclusions. It was prompted by the police department, who've requested that we change the unladen weight to gross weight for the purpose of improving their enforceability of the code. So it would just be striking unladen weight and replacing it with gross weight. Unless there are any questions, that concludes this presentation.
Thank you.
Questions by the board? No. Anyone in the audience wish to be heard on this public hearing? Be mindful, we have the 3-minute rule in effect. When you hear the tone, you have 1 minute to conclude your statement.
Gotcha. Susan Big, I live on Alexander Avenue. What would the new ruling be? What would gross weight be looking to change to?
Well, there's no change to the number, it's just changing from unladen weight to gross weight.
Right. So 2.5 tons?
It's,
Because empty 2.5 tons, full is a whole different thing.
Susan, what is your last name?
Think, F-I-N-K.
Thank you.
yes, 2.5 tons gross.
Oh. So that makes it, that means we're reducing the size of what can be on the street, I take it.
Correct. Some of this, so you understand, is, it was a request made. We had some correspondence back and forth with a number of residents, and in contacting Suffolk County Police, they disclosed that they were having some issues writing summonses because of the way the signage was posted. So we're making that correction, which will make it more beneficial to Suffolk County PD, weights and measures, to do some enforcement on trucks that are exceeding the weight limit.
Understood. Are buses, are empty buses allowed on that, on residential streets when they're deadheading, not picking up passengers? Does anybody know?
What?
You mean just sitting there having a cup of coffee?
No, they go through. The unladen sign is up there, but I'm on that street, and early in the morning and late in the evening,
You're talking about
buses go through.
a school bus?
No, not school buses, Suffolk County buses. They
Transit.
go straight across Jericho and go into the mall and sit and wait until it's their time to go. I've called the bus companies and they're not responsive. Gentleman who answers says,
There's no bus stops on that portion of Alexander?
no, there are no bus stops.
All right, well, we'll make a note of that, and we'll try to contact the county.
Times and buses that buses go through, I have the numbers, and they don't seem to make a difference.
We'll contact the county and explain that we had your issues here and see if we can help you out.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
There's a second gentleman that...
Mhm.
Good afternoon, Keith McCartney. That's MACARTNEY. Address is 273 Bread and Cheese Hollow Road in Fort Salonga. I'm also president of the Fort Salonga Association. In talking with Inspector Regina, he said that one of the issues they have is getting actual equipment there to weigh the trucks. Can you tell me how this is going to be done?
What is done?
To weigh the trucks. In other words, it's gross vehicle weight. Okay, so they've got to weigh how much the truck is handling in order to hand out the citation. You know how that's going to be handled?
I do not. We can contact the 4th Precinct and see how they intend to handle it.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll make contact with them.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else wish to be heard at this public hearing? There being none, I move to close.
Second.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack.
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarello.
Yes.
Councilman Lohman.
Yes.
The town board to authorize the town clerk to advertise for 3 public hearings to be held at Smithtown Town Hall at 2 p.m. The first is on Thursday, December 19th, to consider proposed local law 1824, Chapter 152 of the Town Code entitled Prohibition of Illicit Discharges and Connections to the Town of Smithtown Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System. The second is on Tuesday, January 7th, at 2 p.m. to consider Local Law 1924, amendments to Chapter 135 entitled Smithtown Animal Shelter and Adoption Center in regards to poultry. And the last is also on Tuesday, January 7th at 2 p.m. to consider amending Chapter 322 of the Town Code entitled Zoning as it relates to rail freight terminals, rail transfer stations, and wood chipping.
Councilman Lohman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarello.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
On the consent agenda, there's resolutions 1 to 17. There's 2 consent resolutions in the minutes of 11:05 and 11:14.
Anyone on the town board wish to remove any resolutions from the consent agenda?
No, thank you.
Mr. Clerk?
Councilman Lohman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarello.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
The town board to issue a CEQA negative declaration determination of non-significance in the matter of marine law permit application 2024-02 by Smithtown Bay Yacht Club. The town board's own motion to amend Chapter 322 entitled Zoning as it relates to planned residential development districts. And the third one is in the matter of the application for site plan approval by Reckler Equity Development for REP 395 Oster Avenue in Hauppauge, all for reasons stated in a memorandum from the Environmental Protection Director.
Councilman Lohman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarello.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
Authorize the town clerk to advertise for bid 24102, rental of coach buses, and 2495, removal of leash aid.
Councilman Lohman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarello.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
Award the following bid and authorize the purchase of the associated goods or services. Bid 2482, asphalt pickup is awarded to Asphalt Supply of Long Island, Kings Park Materials, and Basilico Materials East LLC. Asphalt delivery is awarded to Asphalt Supply of Long Island.
Councilman Lohman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarello.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
The town board to approve the following. Renewal of the agreement with Venato and Company to perform independent auditing and accounting services related to 2024. Adopt local law 1524, amendments to chapter 112 of the town code entitled Building Construction in regards to residential solar energy. Authorize an increase in fees collected at the municipal service facility in connection with the tipping and disposal of residential generated construction and demolition debris. The approval of the transfer of density flow rights from Eric Wall to transfer 3 rights. A renewal of Microsoft Volume Licensing Agreement with Dell Technologies. Renewal of the agreement with SourcePass for remote monitoring and support of the town's computer network through January 31st, 2026. Renewal of computer hardware maintenance agreement with Electronic Risk Consultants for specific servers and printers. Sole source pricing agreement for genuine repair parts with RotoChopper. Extension of bid 2389 for paint and stain with Sherwin-Williams. Authorize the town board to submit an application for grant funding to New York State Agriculture and Market. The town board to accept a proposal from H2M Architects and Engineering related to additional professional services for the local solid waste management plan. And the last is the town board to find that the activity proposed by the Smithtown Bay Yacht Club in marine law application 2024-02 does not violate the provisions of Section 138-14 of the Town Code. The approval is subject to the conditions as recommended in a letter from the Environmental Protection Director, and also to direct the town clerk to issue the requisite permit.
Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Azzarello?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilhelm?
Yes.
The town board to issue a written consistency determination pursuant to Chapter 151 of the Town Code that the following four resolutions are consistent with the local water revitalization plan, as in a memo stating from the planning director. The first is 2024-07 Pano Girls, also known as La Familia. The second is 2024-09 Smithtown Bay Yacht Club, 2024-03 Pasquale Rosamilia, and the last is 2024-10 Stephen Rizzuto.
Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Azzarello?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilhelm?
Yes.
Adopt amendments to Chapter 322 of the Town Code entitled Zoning as it relates to the planned residential development districts.
Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Azzarello?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilhelm?
Yes.
Authorize the supervisor to execute the following resolutions on a form approved by the town attorney. The Engineering Department and the Department of Environment and Waterways to prepare plans in order to obtain a New York State DEC permit for the repair of a collapsed drainage culvert pipe and exposed water main located at Ridge Road and Plymouth Boulevard. An agreement with Laser Industry to perform various projects under the terms and conditions of Suffolk County Community College contract. Purchase of playground safety, surface, and equipment installation services for Cy Donnelly Park from Landscape Structures. An agreement with the Timmons Group for necessary enterprise GIS upgrades needed to support the town's asset management software. An agreement with QLess Incorporated to provide Q management software services to the assessor's office for a 12-month term. Agreement with West Babylon Fire District to utilize the Edward Mancuska Fire Training Center. An agreement with the Timmons Group for enterprise GIS support and maintenance to the engineering department. And a contract of sale concerning the town's proposed purchase of real property situated at 176 2nd Street in St. James. The property reputedly owned by Weinstein Realty for a purchase price of $900,000, conditioned upon a Jumpstart funding grant from Suffolk County in the amount of $900,000. And the last is a lease agreement of the premises known as Calderon Theater, located at 176 2nd Street, St. James, to celebrate St. James Past Future Incorporated for a 10-year term, subject to permissive referendum.
Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Azzarello?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilhelm?
Yes.
And personnel items 1 to 8 and 10, number 9 has been withdrawn.
Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Azzarello?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilhelm?
Yes. We have one read on?
Yes. Authorize the town clerk to advertise for a public hearing on Tuesday, January 7th at 2 p.m. to consider proposed local law 2024, amending Chapter 177 of the Town Code entitled Solid Waste Management as it relates to rail freight terminals, rail transfer stations, and mulching facilities.
Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarello.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Supervisor Warehan.
Yes. That concludes resolutions. We will reconvene as Board of Site Plan Review.
Minutes approval for the town board meeting of November 5th, and conditionally approve the site plan for REP 395 Oser Avenue. This was the condition that Peter Hahn from our planning department described at the beginning of the meeting.
Councilman Lohman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarello.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Supervisor Warehan.
Yes, that concludes the resolutions for this afternoon. Do we have anyone wishing to speak public?
I have no cards now.
No cards at all?
No?
Okay, then I'll move to close.
Second.
Supervisor Warehan.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack.
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarello.
Yes.
Councilman Lohman.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Don't forget, our Christmas tree lighting is at 5 o'clock tonight. Everyone's welcome to come on over. And be safe. Thank you.